Cash here. This is Random Destinations Season 2, Episode 2. Today I'm going to talk about the GoPro Hero 8. I've had it now for a few months and got a chance to try it out. And we'll let you know what I like about it and what I don't like about it. And, now here's the thing though. You can find all kinds of videos on YouTube on the GoPro Hero 8. Every one of them, well, maybe there's one that isn't, but 99% of them are going to be better than you're going to see from me, because there's only certain things I'm interested in the camera, and being a techie isn't one of them. So keep that in mind. If you really want to get into the details, go ahead and do your own research. Don't rely on me for good advice. So anyway, let's just recap briefly. If you recall from my videos last year, this is what I ultimately ended up with. Before I completely abandoned the the crapple piece of shit iPhone. This is what I used for all but 2 videos last year, and quite honestly, you can't throw enough money at that particular phone camera to make it worth the effort to make videos to put on YouTube. As far as I'm concerned, it's a piece of shit. But this is what I finally ended up with that did work, and I'm not going to go through it again, but basically this is what everything was filmed with. Okay, so we're going to get that out of the way. Now, like I may have mentioned, I'm filming with a new camera right now, and I'm still learning a lot about it, so you just bear with. This is only the second time I've actually tried to film something with it. But this is basically what I wanted to talk about. This is my now go-to setup for all my videos. With the camera you're watching on right now will be my backup for certain times when you need an iPhone or something like that in order to take the videos. But this is what I've settled in, and I bought this last November, I think. It's a new GoPro Hero 8 Black, and I think I paid around $400 for it. I have it mounted now on a Joby HandyPod, and I really like the HandyPod. I like it so much, you'll notice I have actually 2 of them. I like the, I think they call that articulating head, and it's just a handy thing even when you have a gimbal on, but you don't need that with this. So this is my go-to setup right now. I have an external self-powered microphone. It does run off these little tiny batteries here. I bought a couple of them because I didn't know when I would be able to find them. I have no idea how long they last. They may last 200 years. But that's what powers this. I bought numerous backup batteries for this. And I bought, I think I have a total of 4 64 gigabyte memory cards. And that's my primary setup. I have a Media Mods attachment on here. And I'm going to tear this all apart here in a minute. And I have a battery LED. I bought about 2 or 3 different ones of these before I liked this one the best. Although, in all honesty, seeing I'm never up after dark, I don't know how much use I'll get off this. But let's go ahead and tell you a little bit about the GoPro. First off, it's a 12 megapixel camera that records in 4K video. It does 3840 times 2160. At 60, 50, 30, 25, and 24 frames per second. And that's only important if you actually edit videos. And I do, and that's why I know that you need to know that if you want your videos to come out right. This camera also records 4K video in 4.3 or in 16.9 mode. So let's go ahead and tear this thing apart, and I'll show you everything that goes into it. First thing we're going to do is let's go ahead and take this off. I buy most of my stuff off of eBay. That's just a preference for me. I had a knockdown, drag them out with Amazon probably 10 years ago. It went all the way to a VP in charge of corporate satisfaction or something, and told her what I thought. And anyway, I don't deal with Amazon. So everything that you're going to see here you can get on eBay, probably cheaper than Amazon. So anyway, there's my camera. It looks like it's got about 48 little LEDs in it. It's battery operated. It has the cold shoe mount, so you could actually take this and mount it onto this if you wanted to make something that was this tall. And then the other thing here is the self-powered mic. It also attaches to the cold shoe. and then plugs into this media mod. Now this actually works pretty well, although I will say the basic microphone that comes with this GoPro is actually pretty good. So if you're familiar with GoPro, you know they have this, I find it annoying, but that's just me, this little pin connector thing. The GoPro Hero 8 has two little attachments, which one of the criticisms that I've read about these, and I'll have to agree, these seem awful chintzy. Particularly if you're going to do a lot of activity, you know, skydiving, mountain bikes, stuff like that, which is really what people use this for. It would seem to me you would have made something a little more strengthful than that. But anyway, this is what's called the media mod. I bought it from GoPro, and if I can figure out how to do it, there's the door. It just pops open, and you put the feet up, and then this thing somehow pushes out. Oh, here we go. There we go. So this is what you get for $3.99. You get this and two little feet. Now, inside this has, let me find it, right here. When you buy one of these, it comes with this little door. It has a little hinge on it that you pop it in there. And to be real honest, I haven't heard anybody say anything good about it. I would have to agree it's a pain in the ass, because if you're going to charge it or remove the memory card, it's in here. I understand why it's there. It's there to keep this thing waterproof, but I found it to be a pain in the ass. I did go out and buy one of these, which is basically a replacement door made in China that has a slot through it so that you can close it and still charge and attach to your GoPro. And that's a nice feature. Now, it does kind of cut down on its waterproofing, but anyway, this thing eliminates all of that because you slide it in here. It's got a hard cover, then it connects electronically to the GoPro, and you can add these attachments and plug in, and it's nice. So if there's one attachment you're going to go pay way too much money, and that's something that I think GoPro's famous for, is selling crap at way overpriced cost, this is the one to get. While I'm on that, this is the one not to buy. This was highly recommended by apparently people who were on the payola from GoPro. It's their little mini tripod. And, you know, it looked like it would be great. But to be real honest, it's a cheaply made piece of crap. I wouldn't trust putting $400 camera on top of this thing. So I wanted to show you that because it's going to go over with the pile of crap I never use. And we'll get to this pile later. But basically, once you get your camera out and get the door open, all you do is pull the battery pack out, and then inside here you can see the memory card, which if you had tiny little fingers that worked, which I don't, you could actually pull right out. And that is a big plus. That solved the problem. This right here solved 90% of the problems with the piece of shit iPhone. I now have multiple batteries and multiple interchangeable memory cards. And to make the deal even better, the memory cards that I bought for this GoPro work in the upgradable phone. So all I have to do is pop open the slot, pull the memory card out, put it in a reader, and I can download all the files directly to it. So that is really nice. So this is the basic setup on it. To turn it on and off, you push the button right here on the side, and that'll turn the camera on, bring up the home screen. If you want to turn it off, you press it and hold it, and it'll turn the camera back off. Battery on these cameras is good for, surprisingly, about 45 minutes of filming in 4K, which I think is pretty impressive. Now, when you bring that up, you'll see a home screen here, and if you have big fingers and you have bent fingers like me, it's not the easiest thing to use. But basically, you tap on an item to open it. You can swipe up, you can swipe down, left and right. If you swipe left and right on this, it'll move you into video, slow motion, and photo modes. If you go down, it'll bring down what's called the dashboard, which will easily let you get to different settings in it. If you slide up from the bottom, it'll bring up the last video you made so you can preview it. All of that seems to work pretty well. And if you want to adjust the exposure from the presets, all you do is put it in video mode, hold down in the center and it'll bring up the exposure controls. Also very nice. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the video modes in this camera. It comes with presets in the videos. It has a standard mode where you can film most everything. It has an activity mode and a cinematic mode in case you want to do a remake of Gone with the Wind, which is on my list for season 3. All the presets, including the exposure, the frames per second, the 1080p, the 4K, every one of those is customizable in the menu. And once you customize them, you can save them or you can reset them to go back to the factory defaults. That's a nice feature. This records in 1080p at 120 with the wide lens. It also does 4K, 14, 1080, 30, 60, and 4K 60 with a narrow lens. Now, the 1 or 2 episodes I filmed inside the studio, I did use the 4K narrow lens because otherwise you get the fish eye effect, which apparently you notice once you watch a lot of GoPro videos, it does have a tendency to do that. That's because of the wide angle lens on it. Now, a couple of other things about the GoPro that I like. It has a touch zoom, which opens and a slider bar appears. So you can zoom in and zoom out, which is nice. The only time that's not nice is when you have it on one of these gizmos where it's mounted into something that you can't get to, and I don't know how in the world you would do that, but that hasn't come up yet in my life. Now, the GoPro also accepts voice commands. And it works pretty well, I have to say. Now, the one thing that's kind of funny is if you record something using the voice controls and you play it back, like I always do to see how bad it is, and the video playback says start recording, the camera starts recording. It apparently can't tell the difference during playback mode if it's listening to itself play back a video or if it's listening to me talk. That has come up a number of times. It stopped right when I thought I was doing well, and then it started in the middle of nowhere. But that's pretty nice. You can start and stop recording. You can take photos. You can shoot bursts. You can do time-lapse. You can turn the camera on and off. This supports both standard and self-powered microphones, and I have both. This is a self-powered, and the one I'm using here with the phone is a standard. And it also... you can do hardwired ones with line in. So all of those are very nice to have. Okay, let's talk about accessories. As you can see here on the table, I have a whole bunch of stuff, 90% of which I'll never use. That's because it's just as cheap if you're going to buy one of these, to buy a combo pack. It does come with more stuff than you'll ever need. I'll go through some of this. It comes with all these attachments for things I have no idea what they go to. The only thing that I really use religiously is this media mod, and the other one is the one that attaches to this one right here, that attaches to a standard 1/4-inch tripod. Those I do like and have used them quite a bit. All the rest of these, I don't know. It does come with this little handy tool, which really is more trouble than it's worth. I haven't found it to be indispensable, and I have a handicapped finger, so you'd think if I needed it, I would have figured it out. What else we got here? This is great. This is for when I go adventure rafting, which we do a lot of, or skydiving, because, well, I don't know why you get skydiving, but if you're in the water, you would take this. I have no use for that. This is something that, quite honestly, I'm embarrassed to wear an N95 mask around, or a cloth mask. Can you imagine how I'm going to feel putting this on and going anywhere? No, I'll just tell you, it ain't going to happen. There's nothing dumber looking than a fat old bald guy wearing something like this on his head. So that's nice. I'll get a lot of use of that. And the only thing that's even nicer is the thing I can put on, so I can put it on my chest. Now, let me tell you, can you see for a fat old bald guy any potential problems with this? Does it remind you anything like suspenders? I can't tell you how many times I've gotten in fist fights with suspenders, because normally I don't wear them because I get all tangled up in them, and I have a patience threshold of about 7 seconds. So these two items I don't see me ever using. Some other things that came with it. that I haven't found a use for yet. A little tiny, no, I did buy this separate. A little tiny GoPro one. Now, I will say this about it, that for half the price of this is far superior. I haven't had much use for it. I've had no use for this. I tried it one time and said, no, you're going in the shouldn't have bought it junk pile. When I go mountain biking, which I do an awful lot, because I'm just kind of a fitness nut, if you consider opening beer cans physical fitness. And this, I bought this as my first case for the for the camera, and it actually works pretty well. If you go by the media mod, though, this becomes instantly not of any value, so it goes in the junk. This supposedly clips onto anything, but onto the rim of your hat, so if you're out walking at night, you can turn it on. I can think of no scenario where I'd be doing that. So that's over here, and I don't even know what this is for, so it's over here too. So this is all crap that comes with the kit that I don't use. This is basically the stuff that I do use. This is the stuff maybe I might in some life use, and this stuff I use. So basically that's it. Now there is one other thing. When I bought this, one of the complaints was the fact that this lens is not replaceable. And I can understand if you're skydiving and doing adventure stuff, mountain biking and shit, that might be a drawback. If you're 70-some years old and you're walking around, unless you randomly just fall down while walking, which I do occasionally, odds are it's not going to break. But they offer what they call a GoPro Plus package. And I don't remember what I paid for it, but I went ahead and joined it for a year. It gives you replacement in case you damage this or it breaks. You get a free replacement, and I thought that in itself was probably worth it. They give you, quote, 50% off on the accessories. Well, that sounded really good, but it's a boo, because when you read the fine print, it's 50% off on all the crap except the stuff that goes with the GoPro Hero 8. And they're already about 3 times more than what they're worth when you go to buy them. So that part, that's why I bought it, but no, that's not worth it. It does include free iCloud storage, but to be real honest, I find their website and their app to be way more trouble than it's worth, particularly considering that all you have to do is just pop out the memory card and stick it in a card reader and do it right there on your computer. So I'm not impressed with that. I'm not going to renew this. And overall, the GoPro Plus package wasn't worth it to me. So do your research and see what you think. Now, overall impressions. Overall, the picture quality is very good on it. It's fairly easy to use. It has a good battery life, which this didn't have. I really like the media mods package. That's nice. That I would have that as a must-have if you're going to buy one of these. The stability in it is excellent. I don't use it with the gimbal. It doesn't need it. It is far superior to the Crapple phone on the gimbal. So I'm real impressed with that. The sound quality, particularly again comparing it to that, is really good. I really haven't had to use the external mic very often. Only if I'm out in the wind, then this comes in handy. But for most recording, no, the internal one is fine. And I especially like the upgradable memory. All of those things I'm impressed with. Downside, really not a lot. I mean, you know, if you're old, this isn't the biggest screen to work with. It comes with an owner's manual. It's 172 pages long, of which I think I read 3. But that's pretty much typical. So I would give it a thumbs up. I think it's going to do a much better job, and we'll see. So, whatever name I used this time, that's it for this episode. And next week, we'll take a look at that camera. See you then.